Welcome to the Zera Shimshon Shir, weekly Shir. This is for Parshat Shoftim, and I'm having quite the time recording this week. It must be because of the holy Kedusha of the Zera Shimshon himself, because this week is his Yahrzeit on Vav Elul. And he passed away in Tuf Kuf Lamed Tes. Okay, his full name is Rabbi Chaim Kanievski, Ben Rav Nachman Michael Nachmani. Should have been Schus Yogi and Alina Val Kol Yisrael. So I'm doing Parshat Ches. It's very interesting. I'm not going to do the whole thing, just parts of it. The Midrash in Yalkut Shimoni, which is this week's Torah, says, Omer Rabbi Abba, Omer Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Mashal the Melech. It's an anecdote to a king. Shekas al matrena. He got angry at his wife for whatever reason. He threw her out of the palace. Then after some time, he decided to take her back. But she said to him, listen, it's going to cost you double the ksuva. And afterwards you can take me home. So here's the nimshal. Kadosh Baruch Hu said to the Jewish people at Har Sinai, Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God. Okay? Yerushalmi, in Yerushalayim, L'Asid Lavoi, it says, Ani Omer Lachem Shtei Pa'amim. It says, Anoichi Hu Menachemchem. It says the word Anoichi twice, I will comfort you. So what's the deal? What's the interest in this? Kasha ma yiteinu ma Yosef Yisrael shalach kaful al milas anechi. What does it praise to the Jewish people that he says the word twice, the anechi twice? The ma nafkamina im yomer pa'amachas hashtei pa'am. What's the nafkamina if we said once or twice? Why does he have to double it? Ma inin kefil. What's the difference in the if it doubles? In the beginning, we could say the teretz like this: the Indian kefil, the reason he doubled is because halacha is that there's a din that if a girl was either raped or persuaded to do a promiscuous act by a young man, so he's chayiv to pay her 50 sela. Now, every selah is 4 zuz. So you take 4 times 50, that's 200. That's exactly kimoyar besulais, like the amount of payment that has to go for a besula for the marriage. That's the ksuva. But if somebody marries a woman and he claims that she's had illicit relationships during the beginning of the marriage, before that she's in a kiddushin, she's an erusin, so it comes out, and he's Moitzi Shemra on Besulas Yisrael, so he has to pay her 100 sela, that's just 400 zuz, and he can't divorce her ever. So same thing with a woman that she had illicit relationships with another man, and the husband has to divorce her, and she loses the ksuva, and he's prohibited to ever marry her again. So if so, then when the melech divorced his wife, and he threw her out of the palace, so he took a bad name on her. Everybody thinks that she was mizaneh. She had illicit relationships with someone, and that's why he was angry at her. And now it says that he comes to take her back. It seems like he checked it out, and she really didn't have such relationships. The illicit relationships. She didn't have these relationships. He checked it out. Therefore, she's permitted to go back to him, to be with him, and therefore he takes her back. But the queen says, 1 second, if everybody thinks that you just take me back, maybe they won't realize that there was no reason for it. So So he owes her a double the ksuva. The fisha kivan shegirsha mi beisa hayu akol aimim shayu zinta. Because everybody was talking about it, that the reason why he divorced her in the first place is because she was mezana. V'zeo din mishpat shel hakefel. That's why she asked for the double portion. Because he took a bad name on a Jewish lady. And that's what the reason is. But after we are redeemed, there will be another galus. They said, so she's afraid there's going to be another galus. Therefore he says, I'm not going to divorce you forever. Okay? Now, why does it say twice the word Anochi? Kefa milas Anochi. Oid yesh leimar the Isa b'midrashim. It's that in midrashim in Zechariah, in the Yalkut Bratn Yalkut Shemaini Remez Tavkufain Zion. Sheguulois arishonos alidei shahayu biyad b'nei adam. The first redemptions from the Gula, there are 5 actually. With Egypt, count Egypt, that's the number 1, but that's the general galus in a general manner. But there were 4 others, right? That we have galus, Bavel, and Madai and Paras, and Yavan, and we're still in Edom. So because they were done by man, there's still another shibud coming afterwards. Aval geula achrena, but the final redemption will be biyad HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the hands of God. And there won't be any more captivity afterwards. So even though that it was fulfilled the words of God, that he judged them, Anochi judged them at the Makas B'chayris, but only was one time. And it says, Avarti, Ani v'loi malach, Ani v'loi shliach. God says, I came in and took care of the B'chayris myself. I didn't send a malach and not a shliach. But most of the gula happened with Moshe and Aaron. But in the future, we should hope for it speedily in our days, that it will be in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why we get the 2 doubling of the word Anochi. You could say another way, the redemption from Egypt was in haste. It says, you won't go out in haste. Okay? In Egypt, they had to be redeemed quickly because they were in the Mem Teshari Tumah. And there was a lot of Tumah there, and God had to come in himself and banish everything. So they would scatter all over all the bad elements and not have any influence on the redemption. Like it says in the Pasuk in Tehillim, Tizvach Hashem es Yosefon, ve'achar yom tov harishon shkar yotzu. It's the sun coming up. Little by little, it gets white. The more and more sun as it comes up. But after they went out of Egypt, the darkness came back, the spiritual darkness, right? But when in the future, Bez Hashem, it will be a complete forever redemption. Like the sun comes up little by little, until the midday it comes completely. It says a pasuk in Yeshaya Samach Hashem or Olam, that Hashem himself will be the light of the world. Since the light will come and continuously get bigger. That's why it says to say twice the word Anechi. Another pshat. It says in Remez Tafresh Chavvav, and the pasuk V'avdil eschem min ha'amim. I will separate you from the nations. The Jewish people will be selected from all the bad people. Ve'ilu Omar V'avdil ami michem. If it had said I'm selecting out the nations from you, there wouldn't be anybody to stand up for the Umas Olam anymore. Elo, V'avdil eschem, I will separate you. Kizeh shehu boirer hayafa mitoich hara v'chayzer boirer. It's like somebody on Shabbos, you're allowed to pick the good from the bad and go back and pick it again, as long as there's only good. Aval kish, even if the bad is greater, right? Aval kishu boirer asara mitoich hayafa shuvein boirer. But if he takes the bad, he selects the bad, you can't do it. You can't select it anymore. The Hachinami Ksiv, it says in Bereshis, Anoichi mogin lach. God said to Avram Avinu, I will protect you. I will be your shield. Shivtiach HaKadosh Baruch Hu Avram shehuvar hatoiv mitbahem. I will select the best out of you. The mashma she'asi la'asais nami biur acher. The God will be another in the future. Do another selection process. Omno bikan omer b'loshen kaful anoichi anoichi hu manachemchem. That he said twice the words, I will for surely, it's hard to express that in English, I will surely comfort you. The mashma she'asa bira acher bira, that is indicating that he will do one selection after another. Then there won't be any way for the nations of the world to stand up against us. Everything, let me explain a little bit. In everything, no matter how evil it is, no matter how, it has to have some spark of Kedusha, otherwise it wouldn't be able to exist. So there's going to be removed all the sparks of Kedusha from the world, and from the nations of the world, and they won't be able to stand up against us anymore. They won't have any power whatsoever. Another tzeretz. In towards Lange, with the Lashon of Midrash says, why did the queen ask to double her ksuva? The ma'inyin milas anoichi the remoiz al ksuvasa. Why? What's it got to do with the nimshal that he doubled the word anoichi? Ma'mashas yesh bezeh. What does it mean here? What's the substance? Shahar yaksuva matanas shenois nabala ishtay. The ksuva, the money of the ksuva is a present that the husband gives to the wife. So when he doubles it, it's something that has real substance to it. But just by doubling the word anoichi, what does that do for us? It doesn't have any substance. So the mashal is not similar to the nimshal. Whatever we said, it comes out. The word anoichi indicates the internal status of the holiness of all the Jews. And then also it's removed, it's selected the good from the evil. The converts that came to convert through all those years. V'zohi matana taiva. That's a good present. Like the ksuva that the husband gives to the wife. V'inyan matana zu heim Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Akiva, Shemaya, V'avtali, V'doimeh. All the famous rabbis that are mentioned that they are sons of Gerim, or they're Gerim themselves. Shahayu b'nei Gerim hirbitzu Torah b'Yisrael. They were the sons of Gerim, and they increased the Torah in Klal Yisrael. So their merits were for all of Jewish people. So therefore the Jewish people said, we want a double ksuva now. We wanted to have it clarification and in the selection process, all the good from the world, the nations of the world. So we're calling, he's in the last shot, he's saying that taking the gerim off is a double, double present for us, that we will have all the good out of all the nations, and they will be left with nothing. So I have a segula this week also. I know this is a little longer, but in the schuz of the Zera Shimshon, and the amount of times I remade this. So as you can see, the moment of a person makes a Kabbalah to change, and this is the type of elmo that we should be changing, he receives a special dose of siyata d'shmaya. Taking this a step further, if after undertaking to do a special project, you find you're up against the wall, don't let it stop you. Even though I might have taken 10 or 11 times, I don't know how many times I redid this. Move ahead with the project. Take one step at a time, and you will find the challenges and obstructions falling away one by one. So Rabbi Yomin Pashkas recounted the following. It was just before the 6th of Elul, a few days before Parshat Shoftim, and I wanted to do something extra special to commemorate the Yahrzeit of Zera Shimshon, which fell out on that day. I put together a newsletter that was significantly larger than the one we normally printed. And I decided that we would also distribute it more widely this 1 week at all shuls across Borough Park and Williamsburg. As everybody knows, when a person is trying to do a good thing, the Yetzer Hara does his best to get in the way and slow things down. Boy, did he work today. A million different things happened that Friday, and I understood that extra special Yahrzeit edition would only be ready to leave the printers on Friday afternoon, significantly complicating an already busy day. If the papers had already been on time, the distribution would have been taken care of, but now it was in mid-Friday afternoon, and just the thought of taking on such a giant task by myself was extremely daunting. Ayid Gitzicht Hanaitza. And I began mentally reviewing the list of people who I could call to come and help me do this important and difficult task. I felt some hesitation. Before you put somebody in a situation where he's kind of compelled to help you, you want to make sure that he's really okay with it. I narrowed down the list of people I might call and decided to try my good friend Ari Resnick, not the real name, who not only has a warm spot in his heart for the Zera Shimshon, but also Baal Chesed par excellence. Rabbi, I said, when he answered the phone, this is your Chaver Ben Yomin Pashkas calling you to ask you if you're interested in doing a mitzvah. When he heard that I needed him to do what I needed him to do, he didn't hesitate, merely asking me where we should meet. He drove over to the printers and began helping me move the stacks of Torah papers into the car. After we'd finished loading the vehicle, he began the arduous task of driving around to every single shul, mikveh in Brooklyn and Williamsburg. There's a few. You know what traffic is like on Friday afternoon in the congested streets of Borough Park, but Rabbi smiled his way through the stress of beeping horns and triple parked cars, and the two of us worked tirelessly to carry out our self-appointed task. Spending hours distributing Torah sheets all over Brooklyn was fine with me. I knew exactly what I was getting myself into and chose to do it, but our Rabbi had gone out of his way in every sense of the word. This was not his project, and he was not the type of person to spend an entire Erev Shabbos jumping into and out of his car. Yet he had done so with a smile. When he finished the job, when we were driving home, I said, Rabbi, I have no doubt that you will be rewarded for your tremendous effort that you invested today to spread the word of Zera Shimshon. I feel sure that you will see major bracha in your life in the near future. We parted a few minutes later with a warm handshake and wishes of good Shabbos. I then began getting ready for Shabbos. We hadn't been apart for an hour when Mario called. Long time no see, I greeted him. You missed me already? Rabbi Yomin, he replied, you're not going to believe this. So what happened? You know that I play music for a living, right? So go on. In my field, clients normally book for you for a month in advance. It is extremely rare for someone to call me for a job a week in advance. If that happens, it means that something fell through and there's an emergency. Anyway, that's exactly what happened 10 minutes ago. Someone called me and asked me if I was available for a job next week. That the unexpected business came my way so soon after we finished distributing the Torah of the Zera Shimshon around Brooklyn, and so soon after your beautiful bracha seemed the type of coincidence that you need to know about. Of course, Rabbi Yomin was very moved by the story, yet not surprised. It was par for the course when it came to the Zera Shimshon, especially since the incident took place on the Yahrzeit. Have a wonderful week, and may everybody be blessed with many blessings from learning the Zera Shimshon with me. Sei gebencht, Kol Tov.